Hello gentle people, Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. It's been quite a while. I looked at it today. It's been 257 days since my last video, the little knights, these little guys, if you remember. I think since then I probably had 1,000 more subscribers or something like this. Thanks everyone who decided to subscribe to my Pretty on Ice channel. But today I wanted to talk once again, for people who've been on my channel for a while, flat plane carving, because this is my forte, this is what I focus on, and I wanted to make a video, somewhat lengthy, we'll see, I'm not exactly sure, on my take on it, because of course my flat plane carvings are different than the one from Harley Refsol, they are different from John Overby, they are different from Charles Bank, and so on and so forth, right? Yeah, so we're gonna carve a little guy once again with my little touch on it, I guess. And I'm not exactly sure yet how it will turn out, because I'm gonna freestyle something. Let's get cracking, as I used to say. So I have my gloves, as you can see. They have seen better days, but they serve their purpose. I have strapped my knife with my strap, and I have my knife. So first thing first, measurements as usual. I have the same blocks that I used in the last, I don't know, 2 years that I've been carving now. So which is around 3 inches by 1.5. And then in centimeter, I never remember what that is. It's 8 by 3 centimeter. Let's start with the line. So I have my somewhat squared block. The back is really dirty, so that's all right. That's gonna be the back of the miniature, but I'm gonna carve that out anyway. So as I always do, I start with placing the middle line all around, and how I do it, I put my pencil where I kind of eyeball where the middle is, and then I put my fingers, and then it allows me to go around the wood like this. Alright, and then I'm gonna do it on that side too. I am using a basswood, or, well, I don't live in North America, so this is not basswood, this is lind. Alright, so we have the middle lines on all the side. This will be the back at around probably 3-ish centimeter again. I'm gonna check just to make sure. Yeah, almost exactly 3. It will be the head. So this is the front. The chin is always lower than the top of the back of the neck. So I have made my line here, and I will not put it at the same height in the back. I'm gonna go a little bit higher, like so, let's say. Alright, and then I'm gonna join both lines together. This is for later, but that's gonna serve as the shoulders, because in the end the head will probably be more like shape like this, probably an egg shape. And then all of that will be removed. Alright. And then usually I don't do more lines than that, because I'm gonna carve them anyway, but I'm gonna have something like 1 centimeter maybe, just for the top of the feet. Alright. Like so, since this is the front. And then we'll have the arms in pockets, because that's easier to carve. And then the back will probably go something like this, and the butt will be here, and then the legs will do something like that. Alright, but that is for later. So my take on flat plane is really flat planes, in fact. Looking at the work of Harley, for example, he does flat plane, of course. He's the father of flat plane carving. But he has way more rounded surface. And then when I look at Charles Bank or John Overby, they really have long, thick, flat plane, right? And I really like that style a bit more. It's I call it the art of minimalism. Every cut is used for something. There's no, in general, no useless cuts, right? and the least amount of cuts to do the most detail. But anyway, how I start, we'll start with the cutting down the wood around the head at the top here. So I just start with a little bit of the removing the corners. It's always easier to carve on corners instead of on, well, literally flat planes, because you have something to grip on. Alright, and then what I do, just because it's a bit easier to hold, I remove just the corners of everything. Alright, just a little bit. It's easier in the hand, and it allows me to also really figure out the side of the grain. So carving that way, that will split the grain. The grain is going on the other side. I just felt it with my knife, so I will know for later if I remember. Same thing here, same thing here. Alright, so all the corners are done now. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing for the feet. Stop cut, and then I carve towards, like here, just to not lose that, because the more you hold the carving, the longer you hold it, the more the pencil stroke disappear. Alright, so okay. It doesn't need to be nice right now, it's just for me to remember these. Alright, so I'm just gonna carve a bit more and more. So the first thing we're gonna do is go around the head, all the way around, kind of separate the head from the body, and then we're gonna carve in the shoulder. It's gonna create the shape of the shoulders, and then after that we're gonna remove more and more wood. So as you can see, normally the push cut that I do, I don't push straight. I do that sometime, but I prefer to slide in. If you, instead of pushing straight here, I'm gonna slide in like this. I feel that it eats in the wood better than going straight in. I think I saw Charles Bank little video a year ago or something, just a little Instagram post. It was being recorded carving on a chair outside in the summer. It looked lovely, and it was interesting to see how he was really using the knife on the wood. Alright, right. Okay. Then the front. Now, since I said I was freestyling, do I want a beard on this guy? Yeah, maybe we could have a little beard. So normally we'll just have a little bit more wood in the front. We'll remove a bit less in that triangle shape. Then we'll just have a little beard for the guy. Like this, and then something like that. Alright, always be careful when you carve toward yourself. So that's the shape of the head taking place. So the head will always be farther in the front than in the back, right? So we'll probably remove a good chunk of wood in the back here that we can already do, because we don't need that. You don't have to try to remove a bunch of wood at first. You can just carve it in, right? So this miniature is gonna look straight. I've made a couple of videos in the past where I was rotating the head a little bit. It's a bit more complicated, but still doable. This one is gonna look straight center, probably. Alright, so you see here the face. Now you see the head is really starting to take shape, and that's gonna be the back, of course. Okay, now let's keep on removing wood from the head. We're gonna make the shoulder happens now. So I could even do the same thing here. So yeah, we're gonna go around probably something like this, right? I don't know how many millimeter that is. As I eyeball everything, it's 1/2 centimeter, something like this, right? And then we're gonna have the nose here, and then the mouth, and we're gonna have the chin, something like that, and then the eyes. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do with the head yet. Maybe it's gonna be, maybe nothing, just hair, something like that. All right, we're gonna keep it simple. We will not do ears. It's gonna be all hidden with hair. Alright. So when it comes to flat plane, in my book, it's these long cuts, continual cuts from start to end, right? Now I'm doing some sort of a sweep cut, so I'm carving in like this, right? But we're gonna give them more shapes after. Alright, you see, so that's in. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Too much wood, a bit less. Alright. Trying to follow my line. But I'm an eyeballing freestyle type of guy. I don't really mind if I carve a bit too much or too little. Of course, too little is always better because we cannot add more wood. We can always remove, but adding more is a bit, let's say, problematic, right? Okay, so we got this funky little face now, but it's starting to take shape. All right. So again, just remove a bit of a corner stuff here. It's gonna be easier to hold if I hold it like this. Good. All right. So now, to give it a bit of a shape back, to unsquare the figurine, I'm gonna carve in the sides, and then it's gonna starting to make some shape for the body. All right. Like this. Now the shoulder disappeared because we removed a lot of wood, but we're gonna re-add them slowly but surely. Alright. Okay. Alright, something like that. I'm gonna go carve a bit more inside the feet now. So the thing with carving, for me at least, is that I never stay in the same place for long. I focus on one part, then I go into another to create the shape and more. I guess it's gonna be a big belly guy like this. We're gonna eat it up a bit. So the deeper we go, of course, the more shadow and shade, not shade, but shadow it creates. And then that's what we like in carving. The more shadow we have, the more the carving will come alive. Okay. Alright. So I'm trying to be not symmetrical, because I don't like symmetry, but I have this cut going in here, this cut going here, this cut going down there, this cut in the middle, this cut in the middle, right? So it's starting to create the body. You can still see the arm that we had there. Okay, now what I do normally is I decide the height of the butt, which will also help us do the arm. So I'm gonna go straight in above the feet, in the middle of the thing that I've done. I can give you measurement. Once again, I'm just eyeballing things, so it's around 2 centimeters and 2.5 to the top. But from there, I'm gonna do V cuts for now. corners. Alright. Gonna join it both together. So once again I'm sliding my knife when pushing. It eats the wood better. And then the other side to bring everything together. Okay. And that's gonna do it for now. Alright. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it in a way, but this will gonna be the arm, goes in the pants here, and something like that, right? And then we're gonna remove almost all of that here to create the feet and the back of the body. Anyway, let's go back on the head. We're gonna recreate the shoulders, really separating the head now, because like I said, I don't like staying in one place at a time in my carving and in life in general. So be careful when you cut like this, because I'm going with the grain, right? With too much strength, the whole thing gonna split, and since I'm carving towards myself, I will certainly cut something that I don't want to cut, right? If I cut like this, that's fine, I'm against the grain, but like that, even if I was doing a proper pull cut, it's dangerous. With experience, you feel when the knife is really getting inside the wood, so you know that when you have to kind of stop pushing. The moment you feel a little bit of a resistance, make sure you stop, and then do the other stop cut, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now we have the thing back together. The shape of the head is again a bit more present on all the sides. Alright, so we have this. Good. Now for the arm, I think I'm gonna flatten the side a little bit more here, giving it a bit more of an angle. Maybe something like that. It's not a super clean cut, but that's okay. I'm gonna do the same on that side. Alright, looks somewhat similar. Alright, so having the shoulder here, the arm will be somewhat like that, like I said. So we have to kind of remove this part of the wood here to basically make the arm appear on the carving, right? So I'm gonna do stop cut here, maybe like that. Right. One cut like this, and then another like that, right? And then I'm gonna slowly, in some shape or form, remove the wood that is inside. Alright, so I could go that way, I could go that way down. Once again, I'm somewhat cutting with the grain, so I have to be careful, of course. Right, I could go like this also, and then stop with carving, but you see the arm is getting in now. The deeper you can go, the better it will be, because the arm will be thicker and it will have better proportion, I guess, with the size of the carve. Right, so it's a pretty clean cut in general, but as I'm a right-handed person, it's always easier on that side. So we're gonna try to redo the same thing like here. Is it something like that? Yeah. I never ever manage to do something symmetrical. Whenever I watch Belov carving, I have to say he's amazing at doing symmetry. I don't personally like doing symmetry myself, but it's just the quality of his both sides when he carves. It's pretty amazing. In any case, stop cut again. Then let's do another one right here. You could also just put your carving flat like this, put the tip of your knife and cut in, right? I don't really like that, especially you don't always have access to a table, so it's better if you can do everything with your hands. Alright, and then I'm gonna carve like that way, I guess. First cut, be careful until you reach a stop cut, and then the deeper it is, the easier it is to carve, and the less likely you will cut through and break the carving. Alright, another one here. Need to be careful with the tip of your knife, because the deeper you go, the more little lines you might see. I don't know if you can see right here, but anyway, I need to go a bit deeper. The thing I'm trying to achieve on both sides is to have the same depth, of course, or the same thickness. Here you could really hear the wood cracking, so be careful when you hear that. Of course, it's the wood getting a bit weaker, but you could see that I was not putting a lot of strength in there. Here I'm gonna eat a bit more on the arm because I kind of want the same height. We can see that it's pretty much the same height in there, right? So we have arms now, really simple. I'm gonna clean that just a little bit. It's gonna be done for later. Okay, all right, that's good enough for now. Okay, so as we said, we want to have ends and pockets, right? So in a way, we're gonna have maybe here, yeah, maybe there. So I'm gonna go eat a bit more, and there, going all the way to the boots here, or the feet or whatever. Okay, like that. So I want to re-add the pants line, I would say, if you understand what I mean. Alright, something like that, because it was a bit too sharp of a cut to have between the hands and the legs. So removing wood like that, I'm bringing everything back together. Do the same thing on that side. Okay. So now hand in the pants will go like this, let's say. And then we have the pockets like right there, something like that, right? Maybe a bit more. Anyway, so I just do a stop cut and a little V cut like that for now. All right, if you see, good. Same thing on that side. Hop, hop. That will be okay for now. Right, and then I'm gonna, has a really big belly, but that's fine. I'm gonna do just a couple of V-cuts here and there, just to separate now the pants and the shirt, maybe, jacket maybe, I'm not sure. Like Bob Ross would say, this is your world, you decide what you need and what you want to make. Okay, I'm gonna cut a bit more of that in there after, just to make sure that it fits more with the pants, but for now it's somewhat working. Okay, let's go back on the back. That is some really thick arms, so we're gonna bring everything back inside. Maybe something like this, just a little bit more, removing some wood. So we're just gonna cut it straight in like that. one sweep cut. Like I said, flat plane for me is all these one slice that gives from start to end. You know where you start, you know where to end. Now we gotta make sure that the back of the net comes back alive, because we lost that at the beginning. Alright. Something like this will do for now. And are the arms looking somewhat similar in size? Yes, sort of. So I'm just gonna remove the ugly bandsaw, I assume, from the guy where I got the wood. So we can see the elbow here, right, and all the things. This arm is a bit thicker. I could remove more wood, or I could, yeah, that side here. Okay, no, it's probably a bit too small. I don't mind. Okay, then I'm just gonna remove that part here that is ugly. Okay, now we have to separate the arms from the back, of course. But I think I'm gonna remove a bit of wood from the back here. So I like pretty caricatural feet. I like the thick one. So that's gonna be the shoe. It's gonna be like this, and as you might have seen on many carvers, we like having the pants going above the shoes like that. So all of here is, all of that wood there is gonna be removed, right? Which is pretty simple. Once again, I'm gonna start in the corner and eat. I already have a stop cut there, so that's good. And then same thing on that side. I'm gonna do a push cut. Okay, like so. Alright, and then we're just gonna remove all of that wood, so do how you please. That was against the grain, but that's easy to clean. And then I'm gonna go in and remove more and more and more wood. Okay. Maybe something like that for now. Seems to be good enough. So the arm, it's pretty simple. I have these lines, let's say, and then I'm just gonna do some V-cuts, like so. One. Alright, something like that. And now the arms are detached from the back. And then what I usually do is that I shove a little bit less. I remove a bit wood from there. Now I'm gonna do a proper pull cut. Alright, something like that. Come on, there we go. Alright. Now we lost a bit of the butt, though. That's a bit of a problem. There's no more butt on that guy. So we can add just a little line above here to give us a little chance, but what I usually do is I go back again with a little bit of a V-cut. V-cut along the line. Doesn't have to be a big butt or something like this, but a little thing, a little difference there. All right, things that we're gonna bring back a lot of the wood. We're gonna remove a lot of the wood in the back at some point. Maybe we could do that now, but no, I'm gonna separate the feet now and the back and the front of the pants, since I lost the middle line first. So yeah, it's pretty simple. A little cut there in the middle, like so. And then you can either remove it like that with a push cut, or you can pull cut on the side here and remove chunks like that. The thing is that we want to remove enough so we go all the way to the bottom of the pants. All right, and then I'm also gonna remove a little bit in the middle there. Up, little corner. cut. A bit on the other side. Like so. There's some really thick feet, but we're gonna remove a bit more, give them some angle, and then clean that up a bit. A bit more. Alright, little thing like that. Bit of a corner on the feet right there. Okay, that's gonna be enough for now, just for now, because we still have more wood to remove. So when it comes to feet, that is the bottom here, I like to basically remove quite a lot of wood, something like that. So that's wood that we're gonna remove. We're gonna have a little corner there too that is gonna be removed at some point. So from there, we have the little butt, right? We're gonna remove a lot of wood right there, right? Like so. And all the sides there, right? Okay. So that is one side, right? We can see that now the body is getting a bit inwards. Gonna do the same thing on the other side. That's also gonna help remove my ugly wood there. Once again, probably from the bensa or something. All right. The thing I'm trying to do here is to make sure that we got flat planes. I'm gonna pop that corner and then pop that corner. All right. So we got these big feet now. All right. And do we have the butt? Yeah, we have a little bit of a butt in the back there. But I will remove more wood here. It was a bit too angular to my taste. And then the butt will appear even more so. We can give it a little bit more love even. Really just a small little butt. Or something like that. That's good enough. Okay. So, like in the front, but we're gonna go all the way to the butt here. We're gonna separate both legs, so you can do a stop cut like this, right? And then I'm pushing that, and then I'm gonna pull on that side, like so. All right, that's not enough. Like I said before, the deeper you go, the better, because that will create more shades in the carving itself. So don't hesitate to cut more wood, always more wood. Now I'm gonna make a little corner here, then another there. Alright, so now we can see the butt already appeared. Right? Okay, now I think we could just separate the ginormous feet. I think I'm gonna shove a bit more wood there. Sometimes I have smaller feet, sometimes I have bigger ones. I don't really care. It's all part of the process of having different carvings. Okay, like that, and then we're just gonna continue that line all the way to the heel, something like that, right? Not all the way to the end. Still want to have a little bit of the shoe in the back, but so it's pretty simple. It's V-cut. Well, looks like I went all the way to the corner. That's fine. Okay, something like that on that side. And something like this on that side. Big feet. Then we're gonna attach them in the back. So be careful because you're at the absolute end of your carving here. The wood is feeble, so I always start pushing in a way that there's more wood. So I don't start the cut like this. I will start like that, right? And then I can go just in slightly, create the cut, and then once the cut is done, the wood is a bit stronger, right? All right, so we have little heels, and then I'm gonna just make sure that all of that is connected inside the pants, like so. All right, so now we have everything. A bit too small on that side, but it's all right. So now we have the pants, we have the arms. So the arms are way too sharp to me. I don't like sharp corners, so I'm gonna carve inwards, like so, to remove the really sharp corner. So now compared to this, you see it's really 90 degrees, and here there's an angle, right? So I put my knife in an angle, and then I push like this, and now I see that this is a bit weird. The arm is kind of like detached from the body. This is a bit better on that side, but what I do is my knife is going to eat on both sides of the arm and the body, right? Just remove a bit of wood, and now all of a sudden the arm is back, right? Okay, how does that look everywhere? Well, there's a bit of wood to remove here, a bit of cleanup. Same thing on the pants. Same thing on that side. When you do that, you need to be careful about the side of the grain. I just realized there's a little nut here. I'm gonna keep it. Add more lives to the carving. Alright, so I removed a bit too much wood on that side. The pocket is now gone, so I'm gonna re-add the thing there. And then, so like I said before, there's a bit too much of this angle going in, so I'm just gonna remove basically the corner there in a way. I'm gonna do it so you might understand what I mean, but I'm just removing this little corner there. Alright. Now it feels a bit more like the hand is inside the pocket, right? I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Something like that. Okay. Simple enough. Right. Good. And I guess that's it for now. We're gonna go. I'm just gonna clean the front of the shoe. Those are massive shoes. I said it before, but it's alright. So the face now. Let's attack the beast of the face. For me to make the nose, I need to point. It's like a water drop shape or an egg shape, or you know, something like this, right? So we're gonna carve all the way to the middle line. Like I said, this little guy is gonna look forward, so the middle line kind of disappeared, but you can add it back like so. So we're gonna carve all the way almost to there. Alright, something like that. It's gonna be helpful to make the nose. I always start with the nose, with the face. Alright. Doesn't need to be pointy, but you can see like that, right? Like I said, I wanted to have hair, not have a hat or something. But first, heads don't go outwards, it goes inwards. So let's remove wood on both sides. the sweep cut from the beginning. Now we have to remove that part of the wood. Alright, the shoulder should serve as a stop cut. Be careful when you put your hands like that. This can be dangerous. If I would break, I would just go cut my finger, but I know what I'm doing, so I know that the wood is stopping the blade when I go down. Alright, so now it's more inwards. That's good. I think we'll be able to remove even more wood later. For now, it's gonna do it. Now I want to round the shape of the head. Right, and then once again, since I'm cutting from bottom to top, I will come back and cut from middle to bottom, so the head shape is a bit better. Okay, seems to be decent enough for now. So we said the guy would have a beard. I guess the nose, I'm gonna put it straight in the middle, so that's gonna be the bottom of the nose. Gonna go probably something like this. We're gonna have the eyes on each side, something like that. I'm gonna have the chin, not the chin, the cheek, and then the mouth, and then the beard. So the hairline is probably give you some, be above the head. Make sure you give yourself some space to round the top. So, you know, something like that. And the hair is gonna go down like this, and then the beard is gonna separate there in the middle. Something like that, right? And then we're gonna round that thing, of course. So no ears, because carving ears is annoying. Alright. Alright, so I always start with the nose. Step cut right here. And then cut from below up, right? Once again, the deeper you go, the better that is. I like thick nose. Alright, I think that's enough. Alright, something like that. Then I'm gonna make another cut at the top here. That's just to remember the hairline. Alright. And then I'm gonna go a little bit more to make a step cut on both sides. Like this. Maybe a bit thicker on the left side of the body. Like that, right? And then we're gonna do a cut on that side here. Up. And then one on that side too. And then we're gonna pop all the way back. Bang, right? Then we do the same thing on the other side with a pull cut. If you're not confident like me with the pull cut, just do little by little. It's better to remove little by little than too much at the same time. Alright, so we have a big nose now. So we're gonna carve it in like so. Alright. Let's remove a bit more. And make another one like that. And carve a bit more. Okay. Now the nose is really a pointy triangle. I'm just gonna cut a bit of corners here and there. So what type of eyes do I want to make? I think I'm gonna make the cartoony one. Yeah, I'm gonna make the cartoon eyes. So you might have seen my carvings from before. If not, there's a couple of different eyes that I do. This time I feel like I'm gonna do the cartoon ones, which are like kind of big square eyes. I guess it's gonna fit with the shoe. So they're kind of like gonna be big like that, right? But first I'm gonna do the chin, not at the chin, I keep saying chin, the cheek. So I do a V-cut from the corner of the nose on each side in an angle like so. Gonna do another one here. Alright, like so, and then from there make another V-cut in somewhat of a 90-degree angle from where I was. So now I have a cheek. Right, same thing on that side. There, the thicker you make the cuts, the better it is, again, because it's it creates this depth, right? Okay, now usually what I do is I continue the hairline all the way to meet the cheek that I just created. I'm gonna do a really straight cut there, like so, all the way to the shoulder. Then I'm gonna eat in, like so. It's maybe a bit too much, but it's alright. We can always remove more wood from the other angle. Let's clean that up though. Come on. Where is it holding up? Alright. So you see the depth in there. We can do the same thing on that side. Eats up a lot because I'm against the grain, in fact. Realizing it now. Okay. Alright, so that's the head. But the hair for now. So like I said, the eyes, it's really simple. I do a little V-cut on the line below. And then a V-cut in here. When the V-cut goes too much, like that, I'm gonna zoom in. It's I like it. It creates a wrinkle. So I think the first time I made that, I thought I made a mistake, but then I realized that it kind of creates a wrinkle on the side of the eye, and I kind of like it. So now I'm doing that all the time. So be careful here. There's not a lot of wood, like I said before. Not a lot of wood means that the wood is brittle. All right, so we have the eyes now. So I'm gonna pop the front of the nose a bit too much. Okay, so let's give the beard a bit more depth, like so. And then same thing on the other side. All right. Good, that's a really thick man, big Betty. But that's kind of cool. Alright, so now let's shave that hairline a bit. That's a lot of hair, right? So cuts in there. Then we're gonna start curving the back of the head inside. Something like this. Now we gotta try to go around also, make it round. Okay. So because it always works better with the pull cut, for whatever reason, that's how it is. But with an angle, and that's a good way for you to see, to know if your knife is sharp. You're gonna push on the end grain like so, right? If your knife is sharp, it's just gonna eat it like butter. It's safer for that one to do a pull cut, because a push cut, you never know, and if you slip, your knife could go back and cut the top of a finger. I'm sadly talking about experience here. It happens to me, and I don't do that again. Alright. So we have a bit of a round head right here. That's a interesting hairline. I'm gonna separate the beard from the hair, so I'm gonna carve a bit more in the corner there, create more depth, right? You see? And the other side is pretty deep already. We can always remove more. Okay. Once again, like in the arms, I really don't like sharp edges like that, so I'm gonna eat on the corner. Remove more wood. That is such a funky hairline that I gave that guy. Alright. Looks like he has a hat or something. Could make a little, what could I do with the hair? Remove a bit more, I think. Yeah, it's a bit better. Could give him a little V cut at the top here. There you go. Could give him a bit. I don't know what to do with the hair. Anyway, that's gonna be okay for now. So the bitty is a bit too big for me. I think I'm gonna remove more, so I'm just gonna eat up. Alright, so the thing is, what is he wearing? Is it a shirt? I could give him a belt. Nah, don't feel like it. I think a big shirt like that is kind of good. That side is a bit too high in my taste, so I'm just gonna pull the shoulder down. We're pretty much done here, so it's all about just looking at the details and what feels right and what feels wrong. I feel that the haircut is a bit wrong, but that's just how it is. It's all a-okay. Like here. Oh yeah, the mouth, of course. So could give him a smile, could give him a sad face, but I'm gonna give him a little smirk. So I'm gonna make a little cut, really tiny here, upwards. So he's kind of like not sure, I guess. Alright, like this. That's a little meh. Maybe he's thinking about the weather. Okay. So what else do we have to do now? I think I'm gonna do the details, so I'm gonna carve little corners here on the back, so the butt is gonna pop even more. I'm gonna carve more inwards here with V-cuts, so it's gonna give a little bit of life to the inside of the elbow. Right, you can even do two if you feel like it. Give more texture to the fabric in the corner, like so. Like this. The beard, the Jeff signature. I'm gonna make it even more triangular. From all the little Vikings I was carving before, I was always making these V-cuts and the beard at the end. So I'm gonna do that now. How many do I need? Maybe 2 is gonna be enough. So that's one. That's two. Right. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, like I said. Apart from the fact that Dalo is so good at that, I usually don't really care about symmetry. Alright, so we got this little thing down there. Yeah, let's add, we could add a sole to the shoe. Probably, we could do that as maybe the last detail. So I'm just gonna create these tiny step cut. Once again, you're at the end of the wood, so be really careful and always start carving. If you're doing pull cut like me, or push, but carve towards where there's more wood first. So that's a really big line, a big flat. So I'm gonna be careful, little by little. There we go. Good. I have to say, it's been good to carve back. It's been a while. It's pretty fun. I missed it. I carved a couple of Gubennets so long ago, and then I carved a couple of Vikings last summer when I was at the Viking wedding. But apart from that, yep, like I said, 257 days since my last video. I think I'm gonna give a little bit of V-cuts in the front here to kind of make a crotch or something. Alright, something like that. Alright. And could give him a bit of curve in the hair. Just a couple of V-cuts. Oops. See, carved too much here, broke the wood, but it's not too bad. Kind of freestyling here, where to cut. It's hair, so maybe a big one at the top right here. Yeah, why not? Decent. A couple of corners here also. Once again, it's just to add a bit more detail to the fabric, right? Maybe give him a little thing in back of the knee. And then here it's just to kind of, I'm gonna make one cut here and one cut there. So these little ones kind of to show that the hands are in the pocket. And yeah, I think we're done. Could add more details, but you know, it's really up to you to do what you feel like. So that's how I do flat plane. It's my little take on it. Every carver is different. I hope that when you do your flat plane carving, you do something different. Maybe you like more rounded faces. Maybe you like more flatter faces, like a little bit like I do. But yeah, keep on carving, keep on getting better, and I hope you enjoyed. And we will see, I hope, in the next video that will come before the next 257 days. Bye bye.